Hi there, I'm Mike, and this is Gentle Movement Stretch and Breathe. And I am doing this every Sunday at noon. And it's just a minute to take some time to kind of get acquainted with your body and feel how things are feeling. Um, Breathing into your body and kind of warming everything up a little bit, sort of a systems check. um, I designed this class to be easy, even if you are in pain or if you suffer from fatigue. This should be gentle for you, I hope. That's my goal. My goal is for this class to be gentle, for you to be able to follow along or to give you modifications that you can use, so that no matter where you are, you'll get a benefit out of this. It's just an opportunity to kind of like feel where your body is and check to see if things are moving, and to feel what it feels like to be in our body and to breathe and to stretch. And hopefully it'll be relaxing and reinvigorating. Um, that is the goal. Um, that being said, let's go ahead and take a minute and do a little bit of meditation. And I really just want to take a second to get grounded. And for me, that looks like some deep breathing. It uh, helps me to feel a little more centered and more focused and to be present in the moment. So take an upright posture. You can sit cross-legged if you'd like to. If it's more comfortable, you can sit on a yoga block or with your back against a wall. Whatever feels good for you is great. Try to maintain a neutral spine as much as possible. So think about maybe taking a string at the very top of your head and pulling your posture into a more upright position and what that would look and feel like. And you can have a little tuck to your chin. That's fine too. I like to put my hands on my knees. You can put your hands down like this, or if you prefer your hands open and more receptive like this, that's fine as well. Whatever feels good in your body. And then take a big breath in through your nose, expanding your belly as you breathe in. Really starting deep from down here. Then maybe you'll get a little bit of an expansion in your chest. And then you just sigh all that breath out. Big. Again, big breath in through your nose, expanding the belly first. Hold. And then sigh it all out. Big breath in through your nose, focusing on how the air feels as it rushes in to fill your lungs. Hold for just a moment, and then sighing all of that air back out. Again. Expanding my belly, feeling that air rushing in my nose and down my throat. Big breath in and hold. Exhale. Big exhalation. Hold. Breath in. Hold. Remember, adjust your posture as you need to. Sit upright a little bit more. And exhale. Hold. Breath in. Hold. Exhale. hold. Breath in, hold, exhale, hold. Breath in, hold, exhale, hold. Breathe normally. Okay, so that process that we just went through is called square breathing. And basically what you do is you breathe in, you hold. I was counting to 5. Hold for a count of 5, and then you exhale, and then you hold that for a count of, and you exhale for a count of 5 as well. And then you hold for a count of 5, and then you breathe in for a count of 5, and then you hold for a count of 5, and then you exhale for a count of 5, and then you hold for a count of 5. And you just repeat that over and over and over. And what it does is it helps to slow down your heart rate. It helps to get you focused on that process of what you're doing. And you're just focused on your breath, and you're feeling your body. And it's a really good habit to incorporate different techniques for breath in your day, while you're stuck in traffic, stuff like that. Maybe would be a fun time to adapt that practice. So that being said, today I wanted to just do some hip and maybe a little bit of glute warm up and stretching, and just kind of exploring what your range of motion can be, and specifically in the hips and in hip hinging and squatting. We're not going to make it like an exercise class. It's going to be more like an exploration, and we're going to make sure and integrate our breathing throughout, which I think is really, really important, especially when you're dealing with flexibility and gentle movement. So 1 second. All right. So if you've been sitting cross-legged like I have the whole time, you can go ahead and extend your legs. And I like to just kind of work out the effects of that sitting cross-legged, however that feels. Actually, you know what? Go ahead and do this with me. So sit up like so, legs extended, toes straight upright like so, and just do circles with your toes. And it doesn't matter what direction that you go. Just make sure that they're make sure that you do both directions for both feet. And you see mine are off. Have fun with it, play with it. Just doing big circles and exploring your range of motion. I'm ready for a little bit of gentle exercise and mobility stuff. I loaded my backpack up with a couple of yoga blocks and a kettlebell and walked around the neighborhood with it, and it was heavy. And so the gentle movement feels good right now. All right, and go ahead and pull your toes back towards your knees as much as you can. Really, really focus on pulling that dorsiflexing that your feet, and then point your toes. So you guys can't see that. There we go. Dorsiflex and point. Dorsiflex, really spread your toes open too. Really open them up, and then point. open, and point. And if that feels really, really intense, you can move a little less. That's okay. But goal is to really work up to big, exaggerated movements through that range of motion. And I feel this right here, actually, a lot on my shins. And I used to think that I had shin splints sometimes when I ran, and it was actually because I was making this happen with my feet. I was focused on pulling my feet up, and that pulling my feet up was tensing this this muscle here, tibialis anterior, and mine are very pronounced because I do this. But I was feeling the pain from doing this a lot, and thought it was from running, and it was really from pulling my feet up like this when I was running. It was part of my technique. So go ahead and give yourself a break from that because it's pretty intense. And then you can just sort of self-massage through there, rub that a little bit. Take your thumb and you'll feel the bone in there. So just run along the outside, the lateral side of your body. You'll feel is meat. And then the bone you'll feel is more on the inside here. So just run your thumb down that lateral line of the bone on either side. All right, so onto the hips. Go ahead and let's actually have you start in tabletop, just like so. Hands down in front, like so. Neutral spine, my gaze is right in between my hands. My feet are right here on the ground behind me. See how my back is nice and straight, like so? I want to come down on the elbows and keep the foot flexed and the leg bent. And just move like so. And I'm squeezing my glute, my right glute, and I'm trying to bring my heel to the back of my head, but I'm also keeping my foot flexed. See, flexed foot, that's a pointed foot. That's not what I want. I want flexed foot like this. I don't want the leg extended like that. I want it bent like this. And so the tension is going up into the glute, right up in here. And that's where I want to feel it. That's where the focus, my focus is as I'm doing this exercise, is squeezing that glute muscle right there in that spot. And so if I point my toe, that takes the tension away from that spot that I want it in. It takes the stress out. It takes a lot of the stress out of my posterior chain, that back line of muscle. So we don't want that. We want this flexed foot, bent leg, 15 of those. I don't know how many I actually did, but then switch and do the other side as well. All right. And go. Keeping the foot flexed, the leg bent, going for 15. Gaze is in between my wrists right now. There's 14 and 15. So that is a real good exercise to get your glutes warmed up. And in order for you to have strong open hips, you have to have activated glutes that are also strong to help to keep everything in position and aligned properly. Help keep your knees healthy. Glutes are really, really important. So they're a necessary part of making your hips strong and healthy too. So let's go ahead and get back into that tabletop position. Now that our glutes are activated, I want you to do what I like to call fire hydrants. So spread the weight evenly between your fingers on your hands, okay? You're also pressing into the long edge of your thumb on the outside of your hands. And I want you to make sure that your elbows are directly over your wrists and that your shoulders are directly over your elbows. And then pour weight into your left knee. Raise your right knee out to the side like so. And then give me circles, forward circles. There's 1, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 and 10, and reverse. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm making big circles with my knee. Trying for like saucer size or dinner plate size circles. Same thing, other side. I'm shifting my weight into my right knee. I'm going to lift my left leg. I'm pushing my left arm, my left hand and my right hand both into the ground and kind of squeezing the ground a little bit. Keeping stable. And forward circles, 10 each side. Ready? 10 on the second side. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10. And reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And shift your weight back into tabletop. You're welcome to sit back for a second. If 10 of those is too hard, then meet your body where you're at. Do 8, do 6. You will find that you can progress the more that you practice, and it'll get stronger with use. And maybe 10 is too many to start with, but you have to meet yourself where you're at, and you have to be honest about how it feels. And there'll come a point where you're like, oh yeah, I could do more of those, and that'll feel real easy, and you'll still feel like you have mastery or at a higher number of repetitions. And so that's what you're after, is to progress that so that it feels a little bit easier. And then you can really, really work and open those up. That's, as a hip exercise, that's pretty challenging, actually. You can use bands, you can use all kinds of other ways to exercise your hips as well. But now that they should be pretty well warmed up, let's go ahead and do a little bit of more of stretching and opening up of the hips. So one of my favorite ways to do that is to get back into tabletop, just like so. And you want to take your left foot and put it next to your left hand, so that your heel is directly next to, so that your ankle and wrist are right next to each other. And so I'm going to shift my weight into my right knee right now, lift my left leg, put that up there, just like so. And then I'm going to put my weight into my right toe and bring my right knee up off of the ground, maintaining a straight line throughout my body. Okay, just like so. And then for you, this might be a stretch. And if that's okay, this is fine. Just explore this a little bit. You know, if this is really, really intense, that's okay. You can even keep your knee down on the ground if this is really, really intense, and just kind of let a little weight. You see how I'm just kind of taking my hand off there? Maybe that's really intense for you, and that's okay too. Go ahead and take a break if you need to. But this just gives you the ability to kind of open up this side. When you see this position that I'm in a split squat. I'm shifting forward, but I have the ability to control how much of my weight is moving. I have the ability to shift back and forth into this hip. I feel like this is a really weird angle. I have the ability to really shift weight back and forth into this hip as I open up, right? So just like so. And then you can really just kind of wiggle around and get into that hip and how that feels. And just know that when your hands are farther apart like this, you're going to be a little more stable. If your hands are closer together, that's going to put a little more stress on that joint. Right? You're creating more stability by having 3 points. So if you take one hand away, it's going to put a little more stress on those spots. So if you want to be more stable, more points of contact, right? So right now, I've got that knee in the back on the ground. I've got this foot on the ground. This is on the ground. This is on the ground. So I am really stable, and I can work through this range in my hip and put a lot of weight into it, and then just kind of breathe into that spot. You remember how everything just kind of tones down, the volume turns down on everything for a second when you're focused on your breath? Do that while you're stretching. Use that volume turning down into your muscles releasing. You know, your muscles are turning down their tension. Maybe it'll take a few breaths. And you just shift back and forth, and you just explore how that feels. And if it's too much, you take a break. It's okay. You know, you can come back up, take a break from that. If it feels really, really good and you want a little more, like I said, you just change how many points of contact you have with the floor. If I want to make this more intense, I come off that knee. I still have that point of contact, but there's a longer lever arm. So there's more tension throughout the whole chain because my knee is up off the ground. If that's too intense, I can put a hand down, or I can go back to that knee, or you know, there's all kinds of other ways that you can make this more or less challenging. But the point is really to get into moving and just exploring that full range of motion that you can get down into this position. Okay. So let's try, let's turn that into a little bit of an exercise. If you're here right now, go ahead and just walk one hand forward. And you feel how that changes, how your balance is shifted. Walk the other hand forward. Now that's a great, for me, that's a greater stretch in my front of my right hip and on the inside of this left leg. Now I'm going to move my right hand out to the side really far. And that changes everything a lot too. So I can really let my weight kind of sink forward into this hip and get a bigger stretch. I feel that. So I'm going to move this hand a little further forward too. And I'm just going to breathe into this. That feels pretty good, actually. I hope you're having my same stretching experience where it feels real nice. So go ahead and walk your hands a little bit closer together if you need to. And you'll feel the stability changes as your hands get closer together. They probably got a little more stable if you're real far apart like me. This is stable, but this is actually a little more stable because it's easier to maintain because it's a little more shoulder distance. This is really, really stable. So yeah, just playing with the stability through that range of motion. Let's go ahead and do that same thing on the other side. So shifting your weight onto the left knee now. And put a pillow under your knee if you have to. If it feels really, really intense and you're doing this on like a wood floor, you know, get a yoga mat or 3. Roll up your yoga mat. Here's a good example. Maybe you have a big thick yoga mat like this. That's a real good idea to get one of these maybe if your knee on your surface hurts real bad. You can also always do stuff like this where you put your knee on your mat if you're going to put your weight onto it. If you have a knee that really hurts or joints that are uncomfortable, you know, you can pad things as much as you want to and still try to do the movements. And that might help. That might be the thing that helps get you over a hump. That being said, son of a gun, I forgot what the heck I was doing. Why did I get the yoga mat? All right. Well, that being said, let's go ahead and do the other hip. So once again, we start out hands. You start out on tabletop, just like so, and then you take your right foot and you place it next to your right hand so that your wrist and your ankle are directly next to each other. Okay. And then the next thing to do is to pick your left knee up off the ground, put weight into your toes on the left side. Just like so. And this might be super, super intense, and maybe you can't get off the knee, and that's okay. If you can't get off the knee, you can still kind of lean. You see my weight shift forward and back? This is a good way to start. Just shifting weight back and forth, kind of exploring this range. You see me opening up my hip. Maybe I'm pushing out to the side a little or pulling in. I wouldn't really push in like this a whole lot. That's not a great position for you. But pulling out to the side and getting this open and just exploring like what your range is. A strong range. Really sink into this. Try to pull that out to the side. Maybe you can get that back knee off the ground and really sink into this. If that feels really, really easy, maybe you can even kind of get this elbow down onto the ground and pull yourself down into the hole there. Just like so. But this is the same thing. We're just exploring the range over here. We're going to open up the hand. Remember that? Go ahead and step a hand forward, your right hand a little further forward. Step your left hand a little further forward. You feel how that changes and there's a lot more pressure in the hip? Go ahead and step your left hand out to the side. Now it's wide and you can move back and forth this way. Just kind of explore how that feels. Make sure you're breathing. Breath is super important throughout all of this, and it's hard to emphasize that while I'm talking. Sorry. As I exhale, my joints want to relax a little. Maybe you need to put your left knee back down on the ground. That's okay. Let's go ahead and just take this moment to move yourself through this range again. Remember how we came forward and then shifted back, extending your leg. Maybe you can push your heel into the ground a little bit and get a hamstring stretch out of that. And then you're shifting your weight forward, walking your hands forward, pulling. See my left leg right here? There's my foot. My knee is in the ground right now. Here, let me get you a side view. There you go. Just like so, and I'm shifting my weight forward. I'm keeping my spine real neutral. You see that? That is really giving me a nice hip stretch, both on the left leg on the front here, this inside part, but also on the inside of this leg. I can feel some stuff in there that's trying to open up and release and relax. Always breathing, like I said. And go ahead and take a break from that for just a moment. If you have a water bottle handy or another drink handy and you want to take a sip, feel free to do that. This is a great time. Whew, man, my hips feel so good. Good stuff. You know, and maybe you could do that, but you weren't able to do it for the whole time. You just did it for a couple seconds. That's okay. Maybe you weren't able to get all the way down into that position. You were able to get partially part of the way down. Maybe you have to use a little bit of yoga block. Let me hang on one second. I'm going to grab some yoga blocks. Where did I put them? Somewhere I have yoga blocks. Okay. So maybe you weren't able to get all the way into position. Like you had to have maybe a hand a little higher. You could use a yoga block like this. All right. So that's not quite so intense, because getting down a little further makes it a little more intense. So if you weren't able to get all the way down, you could use a yoga block like this. If you have two yoga blocks, obviously, you could put one under each hand. If you're feeling pretty confident with that, you wanted to make it a little bit harder, a little less stable, you can move that yoga block up on the end. And that's, I mean, you're a little higher up, so it changes the flexibility challenge, but you have to actively stabilize this a little bit more. I'm also on a squishier mat. But there's all kinds of ways that you can make things a little bit more challenging, and just adjust it for your body if you need to. And that's really what I want people to explore and to find for themselves. Yeah. So that being said, I feel like that's pretty good for both of what we did for the hips. Next, go ahead and get flat on the ground, and put your feet together, the soles of your feet together, and just kind of shift your weight back and forth into your sits bones and feel your connection to the floor. Feel how stable that is. holding you up. You're not going anywhere. Everything is safe. You're rooted to the ground. Take some nice deep breaths in through your nose. Expand your belly and feel that weight of your body just shifted and sinking into the ground. Like, feel how solid the ground is beneath you and how connected you are and how it's holding you and supporting you. And then as you breathe, just kind of shift your feet a little more towards your body. You can kind of pull them with your hands if you need to, but we're trying to just bring our feet gradually a little closer, our heels a little closer to our pelvis. And I'm just kind of gradually walking them together, walking them further. And do this as you're breathing. So you don't have to keep doing it over and over and over like I am, but just take a nice big breath in. And then walk your feet in a little closer as you're exhaling. And then relax there for a second. Get used to that new spot. Breath in. Oh, you know, I feel like I'm just going to chill here for another second. That's okay. We're using our breath to regulate us, to let us get used to this new position. Breath in through the nose, really expanding, sitting upright. And sighing it out. Ooh, I felt my nervous system really relax on that one. Let's do one more. Big breath in through the nose, expanding your belly. And relax, melt, sigh it out. I'm gonna walk my feet in a little closer. And you can go ahead and grab your feet just like this, and you can pull them up towards you a little bit. Just remember to breathe into this gently. Never pull on something in your body that feels like it's burning. Never aggressively yank on anything in your body. Be really, really gentle about applying pressure and your movement. Try to breathe into things and be curious about things instead of forcing movement and stretching. It's really all about relaxing and being calm and using your breath to take your nervous system to a place where its connections that are pulling the fascia, the neural connections, you want to let those relax. Those are the things that pull and cause pain, and so letting those relax when you're stretching is a real good practice to get into. And the more that you practice breathing and relaxing the rest of the time, the easier it becomes while you're stretching your body as well, and the safer it is for you. So if your feet are as close as you can get them, your heels are as close as you can get them to your pelvis. If you want to, you can push down on your legs with your elbows the way I am and pull your feet up towards you a little bit further. I'm trying to keep my back really straight as I'm doing this. It's a pretty good stretch. Only do this until only do this for a few breaths and just feel how it feels. And if it still feels good, you can continue to apply this pressure. If it doesn't feel good, then stop. If you feel like there's still some tension there and it hasn't released as much as you think that it could, just relax and breathe normally while you're applying this pressure. I'm going to just breathe for a second and not talk. And then relax it. And extend your legs out all the way. And maybe you can just move them a little bit, like so. And then go ahead and bring your feet apart just a little more than shoulder width. And I want you to explore the internal. This is internal rotation. This is external rotation. Hang on. There we go. Externally rotate, internally rotate. And I'm not just doing this at my feet. I'm really trying to move from up here as much as possible. External, internal rotation. External. You see how my kneecaps are moving? Internal rotation. External rotation. Internal rotation. External. Okay? You want to maintain this internal and external rotation, your ability to do this. If this starts to go, you'll probably experience knee, hip, back pain. This is something that you want to work to improve if it's not very good. And if it is good, you want to be aware of it and guard it. You know, if you notice it change, it's time to work on whatever that is that has caused it to change. That's your body telling you to pay attention that something has happened. All right. So just internally and externally rotating. You know the rotator cuff of your shoulder, when people have bad shoulders, oh, I have to get surgery on my rotator cuff, I tore my rotator cuff. This internal and external rotation is also hip rotators. This is like the rotator cuff of your hips. Your ability to do this internal and external rotation is a sign of hip strength or of hip health. And when this starts to go awry, just like when you aren't able to put your hands over your head anymore because you have shoulder issues, it's indicative of something going on that you should address, you know, to maintain your health. I hate to say should, but for healthy shoulders and hips, maintain your rotator health. All right, that felt pretty good, pretty comprehensive, I think. We did lots of fun stretching and movement and breathing. I hope it was gentle enough. I tried. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it felt good in your body. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you liked, what you don't like. I'm happy to tweak these for you in the future and make them a little bit more what people are looking for. That being said, share with your friends if you liked it. Leave me a comment and let me know. Give me a thumbs up or a like or etc. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at Ritual Fitcraft, and I'm going to keep this up for the near future. Probably. I'm kind of enjoying doing the live streams, so I just want to make sure that they are what my people are looking for. If you want to drop me a little bit of cash at Venmo, I'm at Ritual Fitcraft. You can support me on Patreon as well. Tune in on YouTube. I'm going to be a lot better about putting all of my upcoming streams up there so people know when they're happening. And I really appreciate everybody watching, and thanks very much. Have a great day. and I hope you feel great.